All I know is I wake up June the 6th,
Wow, a whole month.
having no recollection of any of it, not even knowing what happened to me, until of course they told me.
Right.
Um, and a lot of the things that I've already mentioned to you is because of the police report and the witnesses
Mhm.
that, were there. So, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful there were witnesses because there's no telling if you would have fled the scene or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I could have easily been left for dead.
Are you walking through a storm that feels like it will never end? Do you wonder if life's storms have stolen the beauty from your life for good? You're in the right place. My name is Heather, and like you, I've been through a storm or two and wondered if life would ever be beautiful again. Here we share warriors' words, stories of discovering beauty after battles, and the worth in your wounds. Pick up your sword or boxing gloves and join the battle. Your words are powerful, my friends. Make them warrior words. Welcome, warriors. From serving in the U.S. Air Force to becoming a CEO, mentor, and best-selling author, Kijuan Amey's journey has been nothing short of remarkable. Born and raised in Durham, North Carolina, he's a true testament to the power of determination and perseverance. Serving 10 years in the Air Force, advancing to the rank of Staff Sergeant. Former Vice President for the Carolina Regional Group of the Blinded Veterans Association. Mentor and ambassador for the Air Force Wounded Warriors Program. A talented drummer with 25 years of experience. On-stage actor and author of the best-selling Don't Focus on Why Me. Now, Kijuan is a motivating force, empowering others to overcome odds and achieve success. No matter the audience or location, he's ready for the task, from captivating crowds of 1,500 to one-on-one sessions. He is now the Chief Motivational Officer of Amey Motivation, LLC. Now, before we hear about Kijuan's vision, I want to share about the Warrior Words merch on Fourth Wall. You can now wear your warrior wings or carry your warrior sword wherever you go. And if you pick something up, post it on Instagram and tag me at My Warrior Words. Now, grab a tissue and join Kijuan and me as we talk about his incredible journey. Let's rock. Welcome, everyone, to the Warrior Words podcast. We are blessed to have Kijuan Amey here with us today. Welcome to the show, Kijuan. How are you today?
Hey Heather, how you doing? I'm doing really good, honestly. Just sitting here counting the days and making them count.
Making them count. I love it. So you and I talked a little bit before hitting the record button about um, your life in the military
Mhm.
because you have served our country, and I thank you for that. We need more brave men and women to serve our country, and so thank you for your service.
Yeah,
Um,
again, like I said before the show started recording, you were worth it.
and by you, I think we mean everybody listening. So I want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
I want to extend that to everyone with your permission there.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Yes. So, okay. So you joined the military, I believe, right out of high school or I think it
Yeah,
was right out of
yeah.
high
Well,
school.
as close as I could out of high school. What people don't know about the military is there's a date that you have to go. So I had to wait until, so I graduated June of 2010. I had to wait until February of 2011 when I had a date to
Okay.
actually go in. So yeah, but yes, to answer the question.
Okay. And what kind of motivated you to want to join the military?
Honestly, I didn't want to go to the military.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest. I wanted to go to college. So I live here in North Carolina, born and raised in Durham, and I wanted to go to school for engineering, whether that be computer or software. I wasn't quite sure yet. You get like that year or two to figure that out. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to make sure I went to a school that was the best at it, and that was going to be either North Carolina State University or North Carolina A&T. And so those are the two best engineering schools here in the state of North Carolina.
Hmm.
And that was what I was trying to do. And I had received an acceptance letter, and from North Carolina A&T.
Hmm.
I called them, and this is to find out where I need to be for freshman orientation and all that stuff, whatever you want to have
Right.
before you get to go. Well, I'm on the phone with the lady and tell her who my name is, and it's very uniquely spelled, of course. And I say, hey, I'm looking to find more information on where I need to be, blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, I don't see you in our
Oh,
database.
uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh, maybe it's the spelling of my name. So let me spell it for you. So I did. I spelled my name for her. And she said, yeah, no, I still don't see you.
Oh
And I'm
no.
like, what? I'm 18, working a part-time job at Bojangles, having no clue what next to do. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, well, what the heck did I do now? So I hang up the phone with her and remember it like it was yesterday. My mom was standing right over my shoulder in the threshold, like the doorway,
Hmm.
and to the hall in the living room where my grandmother's house is. And she noticed I hung up the phone. She was like, "What'd they say?" And I'm like, "They said they don't even know who I am." And she was like, "What?" Like, of course, it was more high pitched than that, but but I'll give you that one.
The
And
mama
I'm like,
voice.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I even gave her the correct spell. I'm running through the gambit of everything. She's like, well, that's good. Now she's going on the rant, and I'm like, I don't really care to hear it because I'm already going through enough
Hmm.
and realizing that I'm not being accepted into college. And so it also almost made me feel like a failure
Yeah, I can
because I'm
understand that.
looking at the letter that says my name on here. I didn't send it to myself.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like what? Oh, you think I'm playing games here? And so, I just like, I think it was either that night or later on that day, because I was an outdoor kid, so I like to I think a lot, and
Hmm.
so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm just like, well, I'm not finna sit around and continue wasting my time here at Bojangles, and
Hmm.
nothing against Bojangles, but I knew that was bigger for me,
Right.
and so. My mind switched. Bam. What can I do next? Okay, I know who can pay for school. The military. Because I already didn't have the money anyway. So the fact that you're telling me you don't know me, I'm not finna go out here and waste money. That's what I'm not gonna do.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I start talking to all of my family members who are prior military or who, would assist me in thinking about the military.
Hmm.
And as I told you before we started recording, I have six Navy family members. I have one who was Army. I never got to meet him. He passed away due to, I believe it was some kind of cancer. I can't believe. I can't
Hmm.
remember which one it is right now. But one Marine, um, one that was Navy, now Coast Guard, and then my youngest brother followed in my footsteps. He's Air Force now, and so, but I'm sitting here thinking. I got plenty of opportunities to talk to people who know about the military.
Yes.
So that's what I do. Yeah, man, you should do it. Hey, listen, if you go in there with a come out with a clean nose and a clean record, they'll take good care of you. And I knew that firsthand from my uncle and my aunt,
Hmm.
who found each other in the Navy, and they're still married to today. And when I tell you
Okay.
they're doing great because they have government jobs, yeah, they
Hmm.
they were they were not lying. My cousin who retired Navy and went back as a contractor, doing great. It's once I started hearing the good side of it, not just,
Hmm.
war that everybody thinks of.
Right.
I was like, okay, so it's not all about war. Got it. I was like, nah, man, you could experience some cool things in there. And I did. I'll tell you that much. So that's kind of how I pivoted from wanting to go to college to the military because I didn't want to go to the military.
Oh, wow. So I can imagine how frustrating that must be as you're looking at this piece of paper and you're talking to this woman on the phone and it's just not coming together. It's one and one is
Uh,
not equaling two at this point.
I will say this. So they called me when as I was coming up. You know how you get nicknames or whatever or
Hmm.
labels. Well, my peers labeled me Funny Kijuan. That's what I was labeled, Funny Kijuan.
Okay.
I'm pretty sarcastic too. So, so I'm sitting there on the phone with this lady that says she doesn't see me in the system, and I started to say, "How long have you been there?" Because maybe I needed to be talking to somebody else. You know what I'm thinking? Like, man, that's all I could think. I'm like, what is go? There's no way. I'm looking at this paper, and you're saying you don't know me. There's no
Mm,
way. But I did not realize that they get so many uh so many letters and things and stuff that it's crazy. I was just looking at it this year, matter of fact, 2025. They received over 53,000 applications and they only accept 5,000.
that's a huge
That's
or
a
a
huge
small
that's
percentage of,
10%.
yeah,
Less than.
right,
That
right,
was less than 10% that they accepted. So I was like, now that I know these things, you don't realize that when you're, a teenager coming out of high school. But
right.
now that I see this now, I'm like, oh, well, no wonder. You know,
Oh, goodness. Okay, so now you've decided to join the Air Force, and are you enjoying your time in the Air Force? How do you, did it meet your expectations or?
I'm sorry, I started laughing because I was reflecting. Air Force is fun, okay? It was fun. Military in general. It was fun. You get to it's like a it's like a college where it's really hard to fail out.
Hmm.
It's harder to fail out of that college. It's like one of those. So what I mean by that, you take tests, when you go through school and stuff, your technical schools and all that stuff. Boot camp is kind of like your freshman courses, like
Hmm.
you're just getting acclimated to the school and whatnot, and then you go into your tech schools and you're just like, hey man, this thing is hard, it's tough, but they're like, yeah, but we're gonna work with you, but you got to give it some effort,
Right, right.
and while you're giving it effort, hey, you need to make sure you stay in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you met people from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And it opened your eyes to the world. I haven't even left the country yet, and it was opening my eyes.
Right.
It was like, wow, you're from this small little town with maybe 1,000 people in it. Like literally, there are people out there like that. Man, like,
Hmm.
man, if you blink, you'll miss it.
Right.
Like, and they're saying this, and I'm from this big old town of Durham. It's not the largest, but it's pretty big. It's probably got like two. I know for sure two, but maybe pushing 300,000 people in it. When you're talking
Mm.
about 1,000 or
Right.
less,
Yeah.
that's that's a whole like I would lose my mind. You know,
Oh.
transitioning from a town like that to a small town like that, a little itty bitty spot. I don't even know if it's called a town. It might not even be considered a town. Like you know how you got the numbers that tell you that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
anyway, you got to see that, but you got to see cultural differences as well.
Hmm.
I got so many different brothers and sisters, man, whether they're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever,
Hmm. Right.
Jewish, Muslim, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it was you just got to see what the melting pot of the United States really is.
Yes.
And it's only really it's less than 1% of the population in there.
Hmm.
And that's it's even less than that in the Air Force. I'm just talking about the entire military, U.S. military. It's
Yeah.
less than 1% of our population.
But you still attract people from all walks of life, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, different races, different cultures,
Uh-huh.
different statuses in society,
Hmm.
the labels that you mentioned.
For sure.
So yes, the military is at least it's one of the places in our country where you can have a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
little bit of a little bit of everything, a little bit of everybody, you know. And
And I think that's what
yeah.
made us stronger, though. The fact
Yes.
that we did have that, because
Hmm.
you got this guy who can do this girl who knows how to do this dude from this corner of the U.S. And we were bringing things. I know how to handle the cold. You know how to handle the hot, and like stuff like that. And you've been outdoors all your life. I've been indoors all my life. I'm from the city, like stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Right?
And we were just learning how to mesh and navigate.
Yes.
If you put all that
And
together, it's different. It's not a, well, I'm gonna leave you over there to do what you want. No, we came together. I remember when I was in survival school, and I don't like being outdoors like that, like sleeping outdoors. I know when to go inside, okay?
yes.
The street lights on, I'm indoors. There are people that go camping, and then there's me.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, and so when we were outside for that week, it was literally 5 days in Spokane, Washington.
Hmm.
Yeah, Spokane, Washington. And I'm in the literally the mountains. We're rucking with 60-pound rucksacks.
Hmm.
And we're pitching tents. I'm very, very book smart.
Hmm.
I do have a lot of common sense as well, but if I will remember something almost like it's a what do they call that? Photographic memory.
Right. Okay.
So when they telling us this story, this stuff in the classroom, as soon as we get out there in the field, I'm like, okay, I remember what it was. Like just like that.
Hmm.
It flashes right back to my memory. Hey, no, that's in the wrong spot. We need to put over here. It's crazy. I'm doing that, but I'm telling them,
Hmm.
my peers, how to do it because that's what you need. You need everybody to work together as a team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so it was just so cool to see how that stuff really worked.
Yeah. It's so different than the life you grew up knowing, and when you're in your own, whether it is a 1,000 person town or a 300,000 person town or city, there's still going to be a lot of differences. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm glad you got to experience that. Um, and I'm going to jump ahead just a little. Well, I'm going to
Yeah,
jump ahead a lot a bit here, and
yeah.
because you know right now what you just told us was all the learning and a lot of positive things that happened, at least in the beginning of your military experience. But one of the reasons that we're talking today is because of one of those not so happy experiences that happened in the military. So would you like to share with us what happened that day, and share that story with us?
Yeah, sure. So the day you speak of is May 5th, 2017, what some might call Cinco de Mayo. I call
Hmm.
my new life's journey. And I give a reference to Cinco de Mayo a lot because I spoke Spanish growing up. I've been speaking Spanish since I was in elementary school.
Okay.
Um, and so, anywho, that day, it wasn't per se in the military, but I was in the military. And the
Okay.
reason I preface it that way is because I wouldn't have on a uniform. I wouldn't be doing some kind of service for the military. I was actually working for my business that day. I had my own business that day, or business during that time called Kiwi Enterprise, where I did website design and management, social media marketing, and photography for small businesses.
Hmm.
And I was working to kind of get stuff done before the weekend, because I wanted.
Goodness.
Well, what I was trying to do was take because I was doing photography that
Hmm.
day, and I was taking pictures of this building which was my church, actually, that I was the webmaster of. So I was taking
Hmm.
pictures of the building, out the exterior, and the things that we had just recently, not too long ago, added at that time, but it was
Okay.
not on the website already.
Okay.
So I wanted to update the website. So my job was to go take these shots. I'm gonna take these images with me for the weekend where I'm gonna be working for the Air Force.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's how that all came about. And that day was my travel day. May 5th was my travel day. And so I was on my motorcycle. I had went to the lake that day to just kind of relax and whatnot, and just things that I do because we know how life can catch up with you.
Hmm.
And, you just want to unwind a little bit, and that's what I did. But now it's time to leave because I need to go get ready for work.
Okay.
Well, I go and leave the lake, and I'm headed home to go grab all my stuff, but I'm on my motorcycle. And on this back road here in North Carolina, it's a Highway 751 is what it's called. Um, it's only two lanes.
Hmm.
The lane that I'm traveling in and the lane that's coming past me.
Okay.
All along this back road are trees, a ditch. You got a driveways because people do live off this road.
Hmm.
Driveways, intersections, this really sketchy gas station, at a like a nursery farm, like a produce farm.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I remember all of that, because I used to go there all the time, like I said. Well, as I am traveling, 55 miles an hour, might I add, because that was the speed limit on this highway.
Hmm.
And here comes an intersection where I I don't think anything of it because the cars are just sitting there.
Hmm.
Well, why are you pulling out in front of me if I'm coming down the road? Is all I can think now because there's nothing I can really do. It was a last minute thing, and I'm like, you have to be distracted right now. I
Hmm.
don't know what by. I personally did not care because I'm like, why are you doing this? And all I know is I wake up June the 6th,
Wow. A whole month.
having no recollection of any of it, not even knowing what happened to me. Until of course they told me.
Right.
Um, and a lot of the things that I've already mentioned to you is because of the police report and the witnesses
Hmm.
that, were there. So, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful there were witnesses because there's no telling if he would have fled the scene or whatever.
Hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? So I could have easily been left for dead. Um, May 5th until June the 6th. What happened?
Whole month gone.
A bunch of surgeries,
Wow.
literally from the top of my head all the way to the right to the screw in my right foot. The only things that they did not operate on were my arms.
Wow.
That's it. I got metal plates in my head, two rods and 12 screws in my back, broke both of my legs, so I got metal rods in both of those, and I just told you about my right foot. My right foot is also bigger than the left,
Hmm.
funny enough. They call me Bozo. Uh, my left foot is the same size that it was before the accident, which was a 10, and now my right foot is an 11 wide. So I
Is
have to
that
get custom shoes now.
so? Is that because of the plate, or is that because of
I think
the
it might
addition?
be because of the screw, but I think
Yeah.
there's also some circulation issues there
Gotcha. Okay.
because
Yeah.
like I said, the brakes and stuff,
Yeah.
fractures.
Wow. So yes, I can imagine those orders with the shoe company. Hello, I need a 10 on this best foot and 11 wide on this one.
Well, I'll
Oh.
leave that to my podiatrist because I do get that through the VA.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's all on record from
Yeah.
this one accident. Everything that I need,
Hmm.
it's basically considered like prosthetics and stuff. So, through the VA, I had to. And you know what's crazy? So it's been 8 years since the accident.
Mm.
I s 7 years and some change, I found out that my foot was a whole different size.
Huh.
I just found out the beginning of this year, 2025. Just because I'm trying to figure out, I'm buying all these and when I say expensive shoes, $200 plus.
Mm.
Trying to figure out why my feet are hurting. And it's not, I'm sorry, why my foot is hurting. I gotta
It's
correct
just,
that. Because my left foot is doing just fine.
it's just fine. So,
He's over here having a conversation with me like, hey, I don't know what's wrong with him, but you need to go get him checked out.
wow.
And so I finally do, and that was when the podiatrist told me. She said, hey, stand up for me. I said, okay. And so she's like, that little measuring thing, foot measure thing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, she wanted me to put my foot on that, and I did. And she was like, huh, no wonder your feet hurt. And I was like, why? She was like, your foot's an 11 wide. And I was like,
Hmm.
what? You have to measure that again. I'm supposed to be a 10. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's what happened.
Wow.
7+ years of
7 years.
discomfort.
Wow. It's amazing that
Expensive discomfort, by the way.
expense exactly at $200 a pair. Yeah. You're paying for that discomfort.
Come on, come on.
Oh my goodness. And I do want to point out because I did see it on your website, you were wearing a helmet
Absolutely.
at the time of this accident. And
I
so
would not be talking to you. I'm not lying. No
well,
way.
well, I think that's an important point to
Hmm.
share with the audience because it could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse. It was that helmet that literally saved your life, even though
Hmm.
this accident permanently changed
Yeah.
your
Hmm.
life.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
so what if you don't mind sharing, what is one of those permanent changes besides the size of your foot?
Because it's permanent.
It is permanent. Yeah, I don't think we're going back to a size 10.
Nah, it's not shrinking. No shrinking here.
So,
So a couple of them, these shades are pretty cool, but it's also a symbol.
mhm,
I'm 100% blind. Eyesight loss was definitely a part of the accident. Severe traumatic brain injury, to include being susceptible to seizures. But I take medication daily to
mhm,
control them.
right.
PTSD. That one's a little less, but I do have my moments. If
Right.
I'm riding down the street, and I found myself doing this years ago, but I was in the car with my grandmother. We were making a left turn. You know how you do turn left at a light,
Hmm.
and you got traffic coming or whatever.
Right.
Well, the car was nowhere near us, just to say the least. But the fact that I could hear it
Hmm. Yeah.
was what was bothering me.
Was
That was the
triggering.
trauma.
Yeah.
The fact
Yeah.
that I could hear it.
Hmm.
I did not realize I was white knuckling the door handle until maybe 100 to 200 yards later.
Hmm.
We've already turned. We're already making other turns. I'm like, and I'm still holding the door handle. And I said white knuckling. Like it was that was the only reason I knew I was doing it because my hand started hurting.
Yeah.
Literally. Like I was
Hmm.
like, what the heck? Like looking at my hand, like, hey man, what's wrong with you? And after I think the second time I did that, that was when I understood. I had
Hmm.
PTSD.
Right.
Um, PTSD, let's see, back pain, which is going to be permanent because of the rods in my back.
Hmm.
Foot swelling. I try to avoid it, but with the different shoe size. But
Yeah.
if I'm standing on my foot too long, it's like, hey, I need you to sit down somewhere, buddy.
Yeah. Exactly.
None of that. Air Force stuff I used to do standing up for long periods of time and running and nah. I can run, don't get me wrong, but for a long period,
So no more 60-pound rucksacks.
ha. If I'm putting 60 pounds on my back, there better be something good coming out of this. It's gonna be because I want to, not because somebody's making me do it.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
yeah,
Oh.
just different ailments like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have, knee problems and different things, but those are the big ones.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah, I'd
mean?
say I'd say
The
those are pretty big. Yeah.
I won't say big, put it this, I'll say major.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
those are the major ones.
Yeah. But I love your new motto.
Mm.
And I'm going to be totally honest with you. You sent me your bio prior to this, and I left that particular motto out of your bio because I wanted you to share it with us personally. So, will you share with us what your new motto is now?
Yes. Like I mentioned, I lost my eyesight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say I may have lost my sight, but I did not lose my vision.
And
Now, what
that,
might that mean? Because it sounds like a play on words. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
you could look at it that way. I look at it as the physicality of the eyesight versus the mentality of the vision.
Mm,
Because that's how I look at the vision. My vision was always to help others. Well, before I had this accident,
mm-hmm.
whether it was doing my service, whether it was doing, in the Air Force, whether it was doing me playing sports, because I played every sport I played was a team sport. Whether it was bowling, whether it was basketball, whether it was track and field, whether it was football, everything was a team sport. So I'm helping in some way,
Right.
doing my part.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's at church, I'm a part of the youth department. So I help with the youth. I play the drums at my church, so I help with the music ministry. Um, I do a lot. I sing it. I sing it at the choir sometimes. I might lead a song or two.
Mm-hmm.
They're just I love to help. And with my faith, I get that from the greatest servant of them all, Jesus.
Yes. Jesus. Yes. Yes. He
Why
came
should I
to
want to
serve.
be why should I
Yeah.
want to be any different? He was the greatest of them all.
Amen.
And we tend to look at, oh man, I want to be wise like Solomon. Oh man, well, first off, God said there will never be another.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
Obviously, you didn't read it. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So, and I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but I like to think that do you pay attention? Because it says you should be like Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what it says. Well, Jesus was a servant. He was also a carpenter, but he was a servant. So that means he served and he worked. Guess what I do? I serve and I work.
Serve in your work. Yes. Very good. Be like Jesus.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Well, share with us then some ways that you are serving today. Because I know you said you still play the drums, and I love that because you said that's the only part of your body they didn't operate on was your arms, which you
Yeah.
definitely need to play the
Well, they
drums.
still operated on my legs. I need those too.
Yes, okay. Yeah,
I
there
did
is.
have to work those back in, I'm glad you mentioned that because Um, yes, my arms, I'm grateful, honestly, that they didn't have to operate on my arms at all
Mhm,
because those are really instrumental, funny word, instrumental in playing the
mhm,
drums, but so are my legs. And my right leg being damaged the worst in the accident
mm.
is the one you kick the bass with. And I
Yes.
was like, listen, man, I wish I had my friend on here with us. My right foot used to be so crazy. And when I say crazy, I mean I could do whatever I wanted with that sucker. You'd be like, man, how you do that? And now I'm like, will you get it together? I was sitting there arguing with it at church. I'm trying to do better with just laughing about it,
Yes.
understanding that I do have now new body parts.
Mhm.
And to say that I need to give myself grace. So
Yes.
I go to the gym though to work my legs to make them
Hmm.
stronger so that they can have more movement and mobility, which is what I need to play. Now the strength is there.
Right.
I kick that bass drum. The strength is there. So I'm not worried about that part. But yes, I love playing the drums. It's so amazing. Um Oh man, if I and I told somebody this the other day. I said if I couldn't play the drums again, I don't know what I would do.
Mm.
I really don't, because if you come to my church and just I hate to say this, but and just watch me when I'm playing, just look at me. You will see me smiling. You will see me making certain faces, and it tells you what I'm thinking about in my head.
Hmm.
So whether it's the drums, whether it's the choir that I'm hearing, because I got a not kind of like I have over my ears, but I do have an inner earpiece that I'm listening
Okay.
to hear them through
Hmm.
the mics.
Right.
Whether I'm hearing them like the whether I'm hearing the organ, whatever it is I'm listening to, you'll see it on my face. And I'm sorry, it's so hard for me to like hide things, And so I make a lot of facial expressions. And so
Mhm.
whether I'm smiling because I just did this really nice drum roll or made this sound really cool for to make the band sound good.
Mhm. Not to
I'm not
promote
here to make me
Kijuan.
sound good.
Yes.
I'm here to make us sound good.
And to make that joyful noise to the Lord
Exactly.
as a team, as a team.
Exactly. Because that's what it is. It's not for me to be like, and I'm playing over top of everybody, and you can't hear nothing they saying, and everybody's fighting each other, and then we just making noise.
Hmm.
The Bible does not say make noise. It says make a joyful
Joyful.
noise
Yes.
unto the
Amen.
Lord. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love that. You gave me a few chills there. And and for anybody who's just listening and not watching, Kiwan is sitting in front of his drum kit.
Yes, I am.
So,
And they are red with like flakes in them.
mhm.
So in the light, they actually sparkle a little bit.
Ooh.
And yet, no, yeah, no. Red, by the way, red is my favorite color. That's why I chose that. I bought that for that reason that I wanted it to be me. I wanted it to
Hmm.
show me. And I wish you could see the bass drum. You know how the bass drum in the front,
Hmm.
if you were looking directly at the drum set, not from where the drummer's sitting, but from the front side of it.
Right.
On the front side, it says the blind drummer, and it has a pair of shades on it.
Perfection.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Had a custom drum head made. It was so cool. The
Oh,
blind drummer.
that is awesome. So I love that you are still serving at your church and you are
Hmm?
not allowing what one day happened
Yeah.
to take that away from you. And I love that because I love talking about, the beauty that comes from our traumas and the fact that you are not allowing that to disappear from your life and you are actively working to improve with the difficulties, the challenges of that right leg, and
Yeah.
you are actively continuing as a member of the team. And I find that absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So, and I know you serve in other ways. I know you're involved in the Wounded Warrior Project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, it's the Air Force Wounded Warrior program.
Oh, okay. I'm
So
sorry.
it's a little different. And I'll give you the difference.
Hmm.
So the Wounded Warriors Project is actually a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Whereas the Wounded Warriors program, the Air Force Wounded Warriors program that I'm mentioning, is DoD funded.
Okay.
So that's Department
Gotcha.
of Defense. They
Hmm.
have an actual budget. You know what I mean? They're not asking for donations.
Gotcha.
So anywho, um, this is actually tied to the military in a sense that when you become somewhat injured, whether it's visible or non-visible,
Mm-hmm.
they catch wind of it. The Air Force Wounded Warriors program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like almost like a transition type program.
Okay.
They'll assist you for a year. If you stay in if you can be returned back to duty, which means
Mm-hmm.
you're temporary and not like me, I'm permanent,
Right.
permanently disabled. It's a lot of people that are temporarily. And so if you're temporary, you can stay in the program until you get back to, the normalities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was, oh gosh, so huge and instrumental in my life, that program. Especially when I first heard about it. So my accident was May 5th, 2017. I didn't get medically retired until June 3rd of 2021.
Okay.
2021.
That's
4 years.
years. Yeah, 4 years.
Why? Why did it take so long?
That
That's
would be my
because,
question.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm getting to it. That's because nobody really knew what to do with me because it wasn't a combat related injury, wasn't a work related injury. We're trying to figure it out.
Hmm. So they
So
didn't
once they,
consider it a work-related injury, I guess because you weren't at that exact hour, you weren't on the clock, so to speak, for the Air Force. You were just en route
when I
to
say
work for
work
the day.
related, I mean like I'm actually
Like,
in my uniform working.
right. Okay. That's
That's
the
what I mean.
difference. That's the difference.
So
Okay.
I'm on base or in the skies or doing something. I might have been loading cargo, slip, fail. Somebody's actually had that happen. That's why I bring that up. So it might have
Gotcha.
been loading
Okay.
cargo on a plane, slip and fail on a roller. Bam, I'm on work. OJT, I'm hurt.
Hmm.
It's like workman's comp, basically,
Okay.
is what I'm equating that to. Now, what I'm getting at is I was just traveling. I'm just driving. What do you do with a reservist who was just driving to work? That's how they were trying. How do we connect this thing to us? Because we really don't want to, but we have to. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. Yes.
And so they tried, and and don't get me wrong, my command was filing every piece of paper they could to try to figure out how to get this thing connected. So I give them all the credit. But it came down to that last piece of paper, and they were like, if this don't work, Kiwi, because that's what they call me. If this don't work, Kiwi, we don't know what else to do. And so they filed it. All I know is I'm not gonna say something happened. I'm gonna say God happened. Because that's what happened. God
Yeah.
took that piece of paper. He said, no, you messed up right here. Let me fix this for you. And then he found the piece of paper. Okay, and so next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call. Hey, this is so and so from the Air Force Winter Warriors Project, and I'm calling in regards to. I was like, hold up, time out. You who from where? I ain't never heard of you. You lying. And this was back when scam calls was at an all-time high.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? This is when they
Hmm.
just started getting really big. And so I'm like, huh, I don't know who you are, but you can get off my phone. And the only reason I answered honestly was because it came from a 210 number, and that's San Antonio.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I know that we have bases in San Antonio. So
Hmm.
that was, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get out the military. So that's why I answered it. I'm like, maybe it's somebody from the military. So that's why I answered the phone. And sure enough, it was somebody from the military, but not an organization I knew. And she was like, no, no, wait, wait. And she broke it down to me who she was, what they do, and all this stuff. I said, well, y'all just now calling me. I'm like, I should have heard from y'all a long time ago. Like, she was like,
Hmm.
well, it's just coming across our desk on a casualty report.
Hmm.
So it had to get to that stage. There's a certain stage in the process that it had to get to even come across their desk.
Right.
So say for example, they're here. It had to climb up, and that's what it did. So it
Hmm.
climbed
Yeah.
up these different stairs, and then at this level floor, oh wait, now I can see the casualty report guys and the Air Force Wounded Warriors program.
four
And
years
that's what
later.
happened.
Yeah.
And that's, oh yeah, 4 years later, that's what happened.
Mm,
So that's how I got a part of that program. But going into how I still serve is I am an ambassador, which means I go around to different Air Force bases and I talk about the program just the same way I'm telling you about it and how it's
mhm.
different from the Wounded Warriors Project. Because trust me, everybody gets it confused. If you don't know about it or never heard about it, everybody gets it confused.
Mhm.
But that plus the mentor program. I'm a mentor. So I mentor a lot of the or not a lot, a couple of different airmen who've been injured as well.
I think mentorship is an invaluable resource because it is so helpful. I mean, you can learn from a textbook. You can
Yeah,
learn from watching a video. But when you learn from somebody who's been there, done that, it just brings a whole new level of realism and empathy and support that a textbook and a video can't give you.
you're speaking my language now. Yeah,
Well, thank you, sir.
I'm gonna be honest. That's what I always tell people when it comes to my resilience coaching. I said, who better to tell you about resilience than somebody who's been through it?
Exactly.
I have been through it and I'm still going through it.
Hmm.
Why would you want to learn from a book or somebody who just read it from a book and it thinks they're a guru now?
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
living it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I try to tell people. But hey, you can only tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I hope that people get from this podcast and the various episodes that I do is that we do need to learn from the people who have walked through these storms
Mhm.
because they have valuable lessons to teach us. And so from there, I'd like to give you the floor to share with us how people can find you, if there is a way for the general public to work with you, um, the non-military, anything that you would like to share with us to promote your service.
Yes, absolutely. So if you would like to follow me on social medias, I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, all under the same handle, which is my first and last name, Kijuan Amey. That is spelled Kijuanamey. And then if you would like to book me for either a speaking engagement or resilience coaching, you can go to my website, which is amymotivation.com. That's Amey motivation.com. And you can also find my book on there, Don't Focus on Why Me, or you could go search it on Amazon, Kindle, Apple Books, or Audible.
And that was going to be my next question was for to mention your book, and so give us a brief synopsis or make us want to go buy it.
Listen, just quickly. The Don't Focus on Why Me book that I wrote. Hear me clearly. I wrote this book. This is not just to say I authored it. I wrote this book. I didn't have a ghostwriter or nothing. And I wrote it while I was blind. So that tells you something even more about me that I was dedicated to writing.
Hmm.
But it's very vulnerable. Military does not teach you to be vulnerable.
No, not as a
Military
general
teach
rule.
you
No.
to, exactly, they teach you to shut up and color or suck it up, buttercup.
Hmm.
Those are the phrases that I get tired of hearing.
Yeah.
We got a mission to do. I don't care about that mission. My life is in shambles right now. You know,
Hmm.
those are things that we tend to look over, gloss over, but I brought the vulnerable side of Kiwan to the book
Hmm.
and laid down the airman side of Kiwi. But I'm speaking to you from the Kiwi inspiration. And so in this book, I'm telling you, I of course give you, the little glimpse of what I was doing before the accident. And then I tell you about the day of. Then I go into my recovery. I go into like how I was healing, what I was doing to do the rehab. and the therapy and everything,
Hmm.
the depression, the suicidal thoughts. Man, you think of it, I was telling you about it. But the key thing about hear me clearly, each chapter is I leave you with a lesson to learn from it. I don't just tell you what happened. At the end of it, I sum it up with a lesson. And I think that's what everybody was like. So that, trust me, if you go read the Amazon reviews, you'll be like, everybody loves that part. They're like, it's like he's writing a letter to the reader, and he wants you to learn
Hmm.
a lesson from his life, you know? And that's really what I was doing. I
Yeah.
wanted you to learn something. There's no point in me just writing a book for you just to be reading it and you get nothing out of it. Listen, that was
Hmm.
the worst thing in school that I didn't like about books.
Yes.
I'll be honest. So if I wrote one of those, I would have been doing myself a disservice. And so that was the best part of the book is that I left you kind of salivating for another one,
Hmm.
So
Excellent.
that's it.
Well, it goes right along hand in hand with your vision of service.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, I'm going to ask you one final question,
Okay.
and I did not prep you for this, and I'm sorry. So I'm going to
It's
just like
okay.
I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
If somebody is sitting here listening or watching this episode, and they have just had something devastating happen to them, their life is now changed forever.
Mhm.
What would your warrior words to that person be?
My warrior words would be to them is to not look up or take on, shall I say, that victimized mentality, because that's what happened to me. This is why my book was titled Don't Focus on Why Me, because I was taking on the why me aspect of it, which is the victimized mentality.
Mhm.
We want to victimize everything. Why did this happen to me? Why did I spill my coffee? Hey, I didn't get to work on time because, McDonald's was slow. Listen, listen, y- don't do that. It's the natural side of us to do that. Fight off that urge. Look
Mhm.
at the positive of whatever happened. I know it might seem negative, you can't find your way out, but guess what? There are over, I don't know, 7 billion people in this world that are still doing things. If you can't figure out that you can too, there's something maybe wrong with you. So seek service, as you could also seek services, because I also go to mental therapy. I'm not just doing this all by myself. I also seek my own services as well to keep myself refreshed and energized. Um, Seek out help from mentors, guidance. The same thing in a sense selling. I also ask others to seek because it does help. So these are the things that I and the advice that I would give, and I give on daily basis, is because I talk to people such as my family members, like my dad, my brother, um, you know, different people, my friends. Anybody, if you need some kind of guidance, hey, if you want to reach out to me, like I told y'all, my social media handles, DM me. I don't mind. This is what we all should be here for, to
Amen.
serve
Yes.
one another.
Yes. Much agreed. Much agreed. And so thank you, Kiwan. I appreciate you sharing your vision of service with us today and being vulnerable and human with us today.
Absolutely.
I may have lost my sight, but I have not lost my vision. I love the core idea behind Kiwan's motto. In fact, I know many people who have perfectly good sight, but no vision at all. Or maybe, dare I say, bad vision. I have heard many times that when you lose one of your senses, that the other ones become heightened. We tend to think of that in terms of maybe our sense of smell becoming stronger, or perhaps our hearing, as Kiwan shared his trigger of the sound of oncoming traffic after his accident. And those are things we can quantify to a certain extent. But in Kijuan's case, it was his sense, and I know, this is not a sense in the scientific definition of the word, but his sense of service has been heightened. Even, even before his motorcycle accident, he had a heart to serve others. He was an active contributor on sports teams, someone who played for the common goal of advancing his team as opposed to just padding his own stats. He was also active in his church, contributing to the atmosphere of worship by making his joyful noise to the Lord. But after losing his sight, his physical sight, his vision cleared up even more. Now, I want to pause here for a minute and just point out that this was not immediate. When describing his book toward the end of our conversation, Don't Focus on Why Me, Kijuan mentioned the depression and suicidal thoughts that he had during his recovery. And I in no way want to imply that there was no work involved. Kijuan himself mentioned that he still seeks and uses the resources that he recommends to the people he speaks to and mentors. It is absolutely normal to have these feelings after a traumatic incident. And unfortunately, there's just only so much we can fit into an hour-long conversation. So we did not touch too much on the depression and the suicidal thoughts that came up during his recovery. So I do want to encourage you to learn more about that, to read his book, to follow up with things like that, because it is a normal part of recovery. So, but as he kind of came through and processed what happened, his vision began to clear. And he knew that he was called to be more like Jesus. He was called to serve others in multiple capacities. He still plays worship music at his church, but now he is also a mentor to others who are walking through storms. And he is an ambassador for the Air Force's Wounded Warrior program. And he cannot be everywhere. He knows that. So he shared his experiences and his journey in his book, Don't Focus on Why Me. And I love that this is not just a memoir, because that would be self-serving. And that's not the person we were introduced to in this conversation. Kijuan is very others focused. And so I love that this book that he wrote, it takes a story and focuses on the lessons he learned, the lessons perhaps some of us need to learn as well. So if you can't see him on stage or book him for resilience coaching, pick up his book. The link actually for all of that, coaching and website and book, all of those are going to be in the show notes. So let him serve you with the lessons God showed him as he walked through his storm. Let Kijuan Amey offer you a vision of service. Now, how can you serve someone each day? That's your something to think about this week. Until we meet again, armor up, fight the good fight, seek beauty, and make your words warrior words. God bless.